attend. The next two will be at London Crew. They've kindly let us reschedule for March next year. So the next one will be face-to-face, so we can all have a proper chat and discuss things over lunch. So we have two sessions today. The morning one, the beginning will be me talking for a while, explaining a bit of an update on TVision, Business Central, Bevica, and then a request from the last bug about a typical install. Then after that, we've got Thomas from Continia talking about one of their latest bits of functionality, payment management. After that, we've got a bit of a break, and the hour from 11:30 will be Ben, who's with me here, talking about Power BI and what we've done with Power BI, and me having a look at the new Shopify connector that Microsoft have released for Business Central. If you have any questions as we go through, please put them in the chat. Danusha will monitor that and maybe stop me talking if she needs to, and we can answer questions. Okay. So in terms of what we've been up to at TVision, in the last 6 months, all the Dynamics partners around the country have been experiencing quite a growth in Business Central implementations. I think there's a bit of an appetite around the country for Business Central. The changes Microsoft have made recently have really kind of quite infused people to start small and develop the product. And then we've seen that matched with Bevica. So much so now that 40% of our customers, that's a number of new customers and people moving from old Nav or Navision to SaaS. And of all our customers, a growing number are Bevica, which obviously from my point of view is lovely to see. In the last 6 months, we've been, like we were saying before, we've experiencing quite a lot of growth. That's good, we like that, but it has caused some problems, which I think some of you have noticed. Sales has gone well, work that our consultants have been doing is up as well, and lots of change requests from the kind of the Bevica customers. And specifically for the new product, Bevica SaaS, we've had 5 go-lives in the last 6 months, which Nicola here has ably looked after. And we have 5 ongoing Bevica implementations, which are set to probably next year, towards the end of this year, and some towards the middle of next year. So quite a lot of activity going on. In terms of staff, one of the issues we've had over the last 6 months is that we've found it quite difficult to find staff, and even more difficult to find good staff. So we've had 14 people join in the last month or so, and with a few disappearing, 9 additional headcount. So now we are 36 staff. Most of those have been in the delivery and customer service, which I think is where we were struggling, let's say, in the last 6 months with change requests and support desks. So hopefully you've noticed an improvement in that area. If not, let me know, or let Danusha know, and we can have a chat. But in terms of the actual staff, we've got Stephen, who's in charge of all the change requests and all the consultants. So they're able to liaise and look after change requests and projects more closely. And then on the consultancy side, Tanzina's back, which is really nice. And we've got 3 consultants, David, Rodney, and Ryan, who do a combination of finance and operations. From a point of view, David Brown is a really useful addition to the team. He was operations manager at Just Aurelian Brooks, so he has a lot of knowledge, first-hand knowledge of drinks companies, and he's already helping us with our change requests and our customer kind of queries and support. Outside of the development team, we have a new support supervisor, Debbie, and then to help the customer service team, Danusha, who is also our marketing director, is helping manage the customer service team. And I think with Danusha and Debbie, things have been improving in the last couple of months. Then on sales and marketing, we have Lucy and Nikki, one or either of those will have contacted you about this particular event, so they're trying to contact customers more and more. So in terms of the roadmap then for Business Central, these are the classic waves that come every 6 months, and at the moment we're in the process of our October wave, so wave 2 for this year. And Microsoft have released a number of changes. Nothing, most of the changes kind of more technical ones in the background, but these are the ones that will be of more interest to people using the latest version. So these are all available to play with and to test with, and we will be upgrading our customers in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So pulling out some of the interesting ones from here, there's the Excel layout reporting. So to create an Excel report with a standard table in it using Bevica data, and then you can run that and turn that into a pivot table, into a chart that you can reuse. So it's a bit like Jet, but a bit simpler, but directly out of Bevica or Business Central. Then on the right-hand side, we've got the modern action bar. So people who'll be upgrading to version 21 will notice that the option bars on pages will look slightly different, hopefully cleaner and neater and easier to find things. So that's the Microsoft improvement. So for Bevica, we try and match the Microsoft updates. And this is a list of the things that we've released in the last 6 months. So pulling out a few there, you have the ability now to set the duty status by location. So if you have a storeroom or a location that's just duty paid, you can stop duty-free stock going in there accidentally. Work on item group reporting, so things like change of vintages and grouping products for forecasting, item substitutions. And we've improved the Bevica role center. So again, a bit like Microsoft changing the way their pages work, we've tried to make it simpler and easier to find things, especially the Bevica side of things. And then planned with Wave 2, an easier way of creating Acceler and commission orders, where we want to link sales orders to purchase orders for stock that is either going direct to the customer, or we're invoicing a commission for the value of goods. In terms of what we've got planned for later this year and early next year, so on the left-hand side there's quite a lot of stuff going on that we want to release. So we're partnering with True Commerce to get some EDI integration. So that classically is purchase orders from supermarkets, the big multiples. We'll be able to import those into Bevica and turn them into sales orders so we can process them without having to rekey. Unpaid reserves, I've had quite a lot of requests from customers to be able to do unpaid reserves. It is possible to do it at the moment in Bevica, but it's a bit clunky and it's not ideal. So we're going to make the process a bit slicker. If anyone has any requests on how unpaid reserves should work, send me an email, we can have a chat. I've had a chat with a few customers already to make sure that it does the job that people want. And then Vision will be moving their integration to API. So within a couple of years, we won't be able to send them emails, IT, and notifications of orders. They want everything to go through a more modern API process. So we will be upgrading Bevica to be able to do that so that we don't get left behind. The deadline from Vision for all existing customers is 2025. So we have a few years, but we'd like to start planning that as soon as possible. So we will be sending out emails and notifications next year to start moving people to API as early as possible. Then we have some miscellaneous paid reserve improvements, and that's also kind of linked to allocations and the options worksheets, kind of all linked together with on-premise paid reserves and so on. And then I suppose the biggie for next year for everyone is the duty changes. So still trying to figure out exactly how that'll impact significant significant changes, emails and notifications on what, if anything, people have to do. So that's the kind of roadmap both for Bevica and Business Central. At the last bug, I took away 2 requests from people. One was to have a better understanding of what CRM did in Bevica. Another one was to have, people wanted an idea of what a typical installation of Bevica was. What are the bits of software that people are using, just in case someone was missing out on something. So for this particular bug, I've decided to go down let's have a look at what a typical installation looks like. The next bug, I'll be doing a similar thing, but with CRM, with a bit of show and tell on how CRM works. So when I think of Bevica and how people use it, what does the actual software do inside the software? So generically inside Business Central Bevica, what does it do? What can we do from a reporting point of view? And that might be things inside or potentially external. And then integration. So I split those out into finance integrations and operations integrations. So if we look at core features, it's quite a busy screen, but I was just trying to pull out main headings of software that people will use. So if we go from the bottom up, they tend to be the most common features that people use, which I think everyone will use in the kind of environments that we're in. So obviously finance, purchase ledger, sales ledger, inventory, then distribution costs. I think everyone will be using the ability to add costs, especially on purchase orders like freight, insurance, and so on. Credit control, notepad, multiple locations, and duty management. That's a given. I think that everyone really uses those parts of the software. Then as we go further up, there are things that either because it's not kind of the environment that you work in, or it's just not something that's of interest, they tend to be less used. So for example, wine lists, favorites. I know that quite a few people use that, but not everyone does. And I do hear every now and then that people say they think they should use it, but they don't. It kind of helps process sales orders, make them maybe a bit more accurate. Paid reserves, Exceller commission orders, and contacts. I would say most people are using those parts of the software. So moving up kind of to the next area, again, kind of a bit more rarefied perhaps. Fixed assets, I'm not sure everyone does fixed assets, although it is a module that everyone has access to in the software. Sales delivery costs, so in the latest versions of the software, on a sales order, you can specify what the warehouse or a courier will be charging you for delivery and get the system to automatically calculate that as a cost on your sales so that your cost of sales is more accurate. Again, something that's in most versions, but not everyone uses. Some of the other features there, so manifests, the ability to group orders, sales orders together if you want to route things or plan things in a particular way for a van or a delivery to a particular part of the country. Cash flow, warehousing, interactions. The CRM options are things that, again, people say that they think it would be a good idea to use or they should be using them, but not everyone does. But everyone has it on their license, the ability to use them out of the box. You just need to set them up, a bit of training, and you can start using them. The top 3, jobs, projects, service management, and HR, no one uses. And to be honest, I don't expect anyone to the environment that we're in. So hopefully that gives you a bit of idea of the core features and where you might be using things or might not be using things. If we look at reporting, again, going from the bottom, the most common, up to the top, obviously on-screen filters, export to Excel, I think that's a given that everyone just uses that as a natural part of the software. Dimensions, everyone does use. How they report on them, is I'm not too sure about. That kind of comes a bit further up. And account schedules. So account schedules will be renamed finance reports in the latest version, but effectively they do the same thing. That's kind of your month-end reporting directly out of the system. And they rely on, obviously, your chart of accounts and the dimensions, which is why I think dimensions everyone does use. Going up a bit, we have Jet Reports, Analysis Views, and Power BI. So Power BI and Jet Reports are external to the software, so they have their own license. Analysis Views are, I suppose the best way you could describe Analysis Views are pivot tables on dimensions. Now, they're really powerful and they go down really well when I demo the software and when I show people. But again, I'm not sure everyone makes the best use of Analysis Views. So imagine you were able to pick out 2 or 3 of your dimensions and create a pivot table of the data based on those dimensions from inside Bevica. That's what Analysis Views are. Cube and Jet Analytics are 2 BI tools. Again, they tend to be for the larger customers, so maybe not applicable to everyone. And then on the top row, Edit in Excel for the latest versions, Excel layouts, which is a new feature, which we hopefully will be doing some work on in Bevica. And then analysis reports are very similar to analysis views, but even more powerful because they take their base data from the chart of accounts. So analysis views are standard in everyone's version of the software. So if you're using dimensions, have a look at analysis views and then analysis reports, because they will be able to do a lot of the things that maybe Jet does or Power BI does from inside the software. So from a finance integrations, I've had a conversation with a few people around the business, and these are the sorts of things that we or that our customers are using, linking Business Central to the outside world. So starting from the bottom, Rapid Start is a generic way of importing and exporting data. Document output, so that's a Continia tool where you can send invoices, statements out in bulk with pre-formatted layouts and make them look very professional. Bank statement reconciliation and making tax digital in the UK is standard, and everyone will do that if you're based in the UK. Going further up, expense management, which is Continia. Document capture, again, Continia. They're becoming more and more popular as people want to automate processes more. GL journal import, a very standard, nice way of bringing in journals that the finance department might be processing or creating outside, and you can pull them in quickly and easily. Then going further up, probably things that are less used and more depend, I suppose, on the environment. So retros, not everyone does retros. There's a few options here for how we audit or manage data. So the permissions audit, field level security, and mandatory fields and workflow. There's some very good software out there that will help you manage the data and make it more accurate, stop people making mistakes. For example, when, let's say you're creating an item, you want a certain fields to be populated before anything happens, then some fields need to be populated before you do a purchase order, some others before you do a sale. There is really good software out there that'll help you manage all of that. Again, it's something that everyone says would be a good idea, but not everyone gets around to setting it up and to using it. And then the very top one, I don't think anyone is using. So click to pay is the ability to put a URL or a notification, an invoice that a customer then can click on and pay that invoice directly by going through a third party to put in their credit card details or debit card. It is standard in the latest versions, but I don't believe anyone has actually, or I don't know of anyone that's actually set that up. On the operations side, so similarly going from the bottom, integration with the warehouse, absolutely everyone has some sort of integration with the warehouse, and integration with websites. EDI integration, so that again is a bit like the true commerce changes that we're making to Bevica. where we get sales orders in from the multiples, and we send them out our sales invoices, and some will be linking into LiveX and Wine Searcher, those specifically who are in kind of the fine wine sector. Going further up, Outlook add-in, email logging. They are add-ins that help you link to the outside world in terms of Outlook. On the latest version, the Outlook add-in is just comes out of the box, so there's nothing that's needed that we need to do, so everyone has access to that. On older versions, it would require a bit of setup, so maybe not everyone is using that. Then things like career integration, planning, forecasting, route scheduling, they're all for those that have their own warehouses or their own delivery vans, where you might need a bit of help to make the whole process more efficient, and integrating with couriers, so producing courier sheets with barcodes that can be given to the courier for them to deliver, or scheduling your sales orders for a particular van route or a particular geographical area. Similarly, e-proof of delivery, so that's where you might have your van driver with his mobile phone with a copy of the delivery note that the customer signs on the mobile device, and that will update Bevica with that the order's been delivered and signed for by the customer, kind of automating the process. And then the very top, Power Automate, Power Apps, always trying to encourage people to use the wider Microsoft environment. Not sure with a lot of success at the moment, but we will keep plodding on because we do think it's really powerful. And then Outlook integration, again, for those on an older version, that required a bit of setup, so maybe not as popular. With the latest versions, that comes out of the box. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. Are there any questions, Danisha?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Have I bamboozled people with?
Yeah, please do put some questions if you want to in that question box. I'm monitoring it, and I can ask Claudia as we're going along.
Yeah. Okay, so that was my first bit of kind of an overview of where we are with TVision, Bevica, and the use of the software. If there are no questions, I'll hand over to Thomas.
Thank you.
Do I need to?
Yeah.